Hey, it's Not the Auction Professor. Today I wanted to talk about the changes in the market and what's going on and how you're going to be able to get through this and increase your sales again if you were one of those that are having decreased in real low sales through the summer. The market has changed. I've been saying this for months. Since the very first video I put on, I've been stressing this, that the market never stays the same. A lot of the folks that I'm talking to and are, telling me their sales are down and things are going on, they're selling the same thing. They haven't changed a thing in their business or their business model since they've started in eBay, which for some of these people could be 10, 15 years ago. You can't just keep doing the same thing every single year and not change with the market. Some of these same folks that are complaining about, eBay and the market are complaining that they are messing up their market and they're not changing and not doing the right thing. Well, the point is on this whole conversation here is that you have to change. The number one thing you can do, I guarantee it across the board, is diversify what you are selling. If you're selling the same things year after year after year, you're just going to get nowhere at some point when the market changes. And right now the market has changed. You've got other things coming into the picture. You've got prices going up across the board at every thrift store, around. Savers is having financial difficulties. They have raised the price. I know for sure they've closed at least 6 stores, 2 here, and I've had other people tell me that they've closed Savers in their area too. So, everybody across the board who's messing with clothing is having the same similar issues. Part of the issues that are affecting you are related to brick and mortar establishments. They are wise to what everybody is doing. I've done it myself, selling clothing, selling the brand new stuff, selling, markdowns, selling, the discounted, stuff like in a retail arbitrage. They're catching on to those who are doing drop shipping. All of these markets are fluctuating and in danger of, collapsing at some point. Clothing, for example, it's got an influx of huge amounts of new people trying to sell, so they're even further flooding the fewer and fewer items you're able to sell. Veros are coming up left and right, attacking new brands and things like that didn't have Veros before, stopping new people and, the long-term sellers from selling more and more clothing items, forcing more people still yet into selling the same old items that everybody else is selling. And as I said, brick and mortars now have caught on because they're lowering their prices across the board on many items. This makes it less of a difference to buy a used item than it is to buy a new item. So those folks that used to buy used items from you or from me or whoever's selling the used clothing, they've got a better chance now. They can buy it brand new for just a few bucks more. So there's not as much sense to people buy the clothing online. The market has totally changed across the board. You've got other venues coming in, Poshmark and all the other ones. Amazon, you can still sell some new clothing on and things like that if you're ungated. So, there's a ton of different areas where you can sell this at. I heard Bonanza and all these other areas and Etsy and things that people sell clothing on. So there are other venues. So what you need to do if you want to be successful and stay on eBay and still make the money, you don't have to give up clothing. You don't have to give up what you're doing, but you have to diversify. If you're doing 85, 90% of clothing, you need to drop that down to about 50% and start buying hard goods, vintage, collectibles, paper, whatever you think you can get a handle on and get at a quantity. And again, I've talked about scaling before. Scaling in clothing is almost impossible for most people these days. So if you're hurting right now and your sales aren't going up, you've got to diversify. I promise you that if you diversify, you're going to get better results than you are right this minute. You can swap things around in the clothing market. You can swap prices around. You can give free shipping or add shipping. All of that's not going to change a huge bit of difference to what you're doing because you're still selling the same items. Markets change all the time. Retail establishments, when they get clothing, they change their clothing up almost every year. They have new seasonal lines for fall, winter, spring, and summer all the time. So what was hot last year in clothing may not be hot this year. So if you sold clothing 5 years in a row and you've been doing great and all suddenly things are changing, trends change. Even like long-term trends can change every 5 or 10 years. So, if you're not on the ball with this, your sales are going to plummet. You may still have dismal results for the fourth quarter if you're not diversifying. And to diversify into another field, you've got to have experience to know that field. So I would honestly, again, recommend diversifying as quickly as possible, studying some new areas, doing some research, and picking some new niches. Again, it doesn't mean you have to give up what you're doing, but I promise you, if you start to diversify and lower your amount of clothing from 100%, 90%, or wherever you're selling at, you're going to do better off if you can broaden your spectrum of items for sale. Because, you know, I can tell you for sure, I've talked to many people, many angry, upset people who says that, you know, who are saying that their clothing sales are dead, you know, they're selling the typical stuff, they don't get it. The problem is you can't keep selling the same stuff year after year after year. That's the whole point of this. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. I've been saying this for months, since literally my first day on YouTube, that, you know, you've got to diversify. eBay is not the same as it was. eBay started off as a collectibles market. They still are a collectibles market. They have started off that way, and they still are. Yes, they sell clothing and all these other things, which they've diversified and broadened their market to increase their market share. That's just the way business is. But for the most part, the antiques and collectibles have not been affected by most of these seasonal changes from day one, because that's what eBay was originally started for, was for collectibles. eBay started with the thought of selling collectibles. So collectibles always do sell on eBay. There isn't this big dead drop on it like in summer, like most people. I hear that across the board, that everybody's dropped off. It doesn't have to be that way if you sell the right items and are on the ball with what is going on. Again, you don't have to give up clothing, you don't have to give up anything, but look into new avenues of sales. Going to another site and putting double listing or cross listing, cross promoting will be a good start for you. Get yourself into Amazon. Get yourself on Etsy if that's your mark. Get yourself on Poshmark or any of the other sites if that's what you're doing. Cross promote though. Don't pull from one site just to put it on the other. You know, because like Bonanza and some of these other sites everybody's talking about do not have a good margin. They do not have a good draw. A lot of buyers have no idea what Bonanza is. Still, there's a ton of people that never heard of Poshmark either. So you've got to take that in consideration. The long and steady road for us is the collectibles, because they have always sold for us since day one. We started the first year eBay was on, and they have not stopped. They don't drop off. Collectors collect, and they collect all year round. It doesn't matter if they want a specific piece. If they find it in the summer, they're going to pay for it. If they find it in the winter, they're going to pay for it. But again, diversify. I promise you, if you diversify, change up some of what you sell. Changing the price, again, as I said, changing the titles and things like that's not going to do a big difference for you. We've ran the test. I've played with it. We've started to drop clothing fully. I'll still buy a few pieces here or there, but for the most part, we're not messing with clothing because I can't scale it. I can't build a business based on clothing anymore. It's not there. We'd have 2 less savers. I've got 2 other thrift stores that are down. There's only like 4 good thrift stores in this whole town with everybody going to those thrift stores. It doesn't make any sense for me to be going to the same thrift stores a couple times a day to be able to get some good scores and still not walk away with a huge quantity of clothing. You just can't live on 10, 15 pieces of clothing. There's no bin store near us. It's over 3 hours away. So, you know, diversifying for us was a necessity. And if your sales are down, I would say at this point it is a necessity to you to diversify and start selling different items. Again, it's going to take you time, so you better start now. If you expect things to change between now and next summer, it's probably going to get worse if you don't diversify. You know, I'm sure there are people out there who have no problem selling clothing, but that's the minority. A small percentage have the ability to track down or have good sources. Like I've got sources for paper and things that many other people can't get. Just by time into this business, 5 full years doing this. So again, diversify. But that's really what I got for you today. It's hopefully a wake-up call. Again, I've been preaching this for months and months and months. You got to diversify. Again, hopefully that gave you some ideas on diversifying to help your business, to expand your business, to stop the slump you're in. I gave you some key things that you should be doing no matter what to get your business going. eBay expanded. Every company expands and diversifies. But hopefully you liked it. If you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon up top to be notified when we post new content. Subscribe and tell a friend.